Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a huge cognitive shift, one that can totally transform how you make decisions under pressure. We're talking about moving away from the world of flawed predictions and into the much more powerful world of probabilities. Right off the bat, legendary investor George Soros just nails it. We are all so obsessed with being right. But what if that obsession, that need to be right, is a complete distraction from what actually determines success in any kind of uncertain environment? I mean, think about that for a second. This question really challenges a core assumption that pretty much all of us have, and not just in finance, but in every single complex decision we have to make. It forces us to rethink the entire goal of our judgment in the first place. Okay, so to really understand the alternative, we first have to dissect this flawed mindset that, let's be honest, almost all of us fall into. We're going to call it the prediction trap. Yeah, this is that really seductive story we tell ourselves, right? That the world is just a big puzzle, and if we're smart enough, we can solve it. The moment we take a thought like, this is likely to happen, and we turn it into, this will happen, that's it. We've fallen right into the trap. And when you're stuck in this framework, it makes genuine learning almost impossible because every single negative outcome gets chalked up to a personal failure instead of what it really is, just the reality of random chance in any complex system. Okay, so if being a predictor is a trap, what's the escape route? Well, this is where we see a huge, crucial pivot to a new and way more effective way of thinking. What's so interesting here is just how different these two mindsets are. I mean, it's night and day. The predictor is on this wild emotional roller coaster, tying their own self-worth to every single outcome. But the probabilist, they're detached, they're calm. They know that in a world of probabilities, losing sometimes is just the cost of doing business. It's the price of admission. So here's the crucial point, and it's so important. A good decision and a good outcome are two completely different things. You can make a perfect textbook decision and still get a bad result. And, you can make a terrible decision and just get lucky. The real pro is the one who learns to tell the difference. So, how does a probabilist actually operate? Well, they have a toolkit. And the very first tool is a structured, systematic way to change their mind when the facts change. This three-step process, which you might know as Bayesian updating, is basically the antidote to being stubborn and falling for confirmation bias. It gives you a simple, logical way to evolve your views as new information comes in, instead of just digging in your heels to defend your original prediction. Now, let's see how this all builds into what I think is the single most important concept for making better decisions: separating your process from the random results that it spits out. We all do this. It's practically wired into our brains. If we win, we think, man, that must have been a great decision. If we lose, we think, ugh, what a terrible choice. But in a world that's run by probabilities, that is a catastrophic way to learn anything. This is the quadrant we all want to live in, right? You followed a sound process, you did everything right, and you got a successful outcome. The key here isn't just to celebrate, but to affirm what you did, understand why it worked, and then figure out how to replicate that process. Okay, now this quadrant is where most people really go wrong. They have a good system, it produces a random loss, which, by the way, any good system will do, and they just panic. They change the system, they start chasing the noise, and they destroy their own long-term edge. Mastering this quadrant is the hardest, but most important part of the whole game. And this just perfectly illustrates the danger of resulting. Getting rewarded for doing the wrong thing is a recipe for absolute disaster. Your brain learns a terrible lesson that breaking your own rules leads to success. And that's exactly how bad habits get burned into our brains. And finally, we get the most straightforward quadrant. The feedback here is painful, for sure, but it is also crystal clear. The process was flawed, the outcome was negative, and the path forward is obvious. Fix the process. So, if we can't judge our process on just a few outcomes, how many data points do we actually need? How long do we have to wait? Well, the answer might surprise you. Take a look at this number. That's right. You need about 397 trades to be confident that a great system is actually better than just a good one. So think about that. Your last 3 results, your last 10, they're just statistical noise. The emotional highs and lows that we feel based on that are completely disconnected from reality. Now, When you really start to embrace this entire probabilistic framework, something profound happens. It's a huge psychological payoff. You develop a new and much healthier relationship with uncertainty itself. When you adopt this mindset, it changes more than just your actions. It changes your entire experience. You shift from that brittle confidence of needing to be right to the grounded confidence of just having a sound process. Your self-worth isn't tied to any single outcome anymore. And that's the ultimate goal, isn't it? The edge isn't about eliminating uncertainty. It's about getting so good at navigating it, so calibrated to the probabilities, and so accepting of the random outcomes that uncertainty itself actually becomes your competitive advantage. So this is the key question to take away with you. Think about the most important decision you're facing right now. Are you approaching it as a predictor or as a probabilist? This isn't just a model for trading, it's a mental model for life. And applying it can bring clarity, discipline, and, frankly, a lot more calm to the biggest challenges you face.